Start recording. Hi everyone. Just Aquino here, giving an update. So what happened is, okay, some recent changes. So I create. Oops. So I got the main file and unhid a lot of these old the main some hidden sheets which is used for reference. So the main problem here is Nico discovered was when this becomes a dwarf world, it should still have an habitability. Okay, so here's so you will find a lot of hidden dice rolls here. So what we did was we hid the dice rolls as a stopgap measure. Um, Note that me and the OGTs were making this. It's like we had very little resources, so we had to make this stopgap measure to make it workable. So 9 basically makes it a terrestrial world. Now, if I rolled a much lower roll, like a 4, I think, it's a dwarf world. Now, it's not supposed to do this. You're supposed to have gravity still as a dwarf world. In fact, you're supposed to be able to have a population um, in the it's still a dwarf world. And I realized we forgot some modifiers and things. Call this some other modifiers when we did this. So I kind of fixed it. So first is the main reason this was having a problem was because it was terrestrial, not equal to terrestrial. It should be equal to because dwarf worlds and terrestrial worlds allow you to have a gravity. So that's one of the problems that the system created. So to fix it, so here's the fixed version, and this is the main version that is shared and it's accessible to everyone. Um, uh, you will notice that equal habitat, while this one is not equal terrestrial. So it should be only habitats is NA because the habitat itself has its own gravity and stuff. So the same problem can be found in all the other functions. So you'll notice equal, not equal terrestrial, not equal terrestrial. And I forgot to make sure that tech level affects the habitability of a group of inhabitants. So there's a planet and its habitability. But since we also roll this, there's all this others. So notice there's a factor of 10 for every point of habitability, because the calculation for a population is calculation for population is 10 to the power of habitability. So Earth is example with 9 billion is to the power of 9 ish. Call this and note that the population, okay, wait, okay, found another problem. So yeah, basically what I made it simple. So basically some dwarf worlds will be uninhabitable. As you can see, it's corrosive, it's seriously corrosive, it's very few resources. This dwarf world is not an ideal place for um, for uh, for the inhabitants. But since this is the main world, or in other words, this is the first place that the inhabitants decided to call this populate, and this world needs to have a population, must be inhabited. Then what happens is that we'll use the we will assume a habitat was built in this world, and because the habitat was built in this world, so the way habitats work in NEEM world generator is that there's a certain mass of inhabitant, and this is a very huge habitat. This is uh, okay. So these are mega volume tons. Um, so I just use the size that would have gone to the terrestrial world, dwarf world, and just use that for the habitat. So this mega volume tons, millions of tons. So it's in millions of tons. It's because we want to have a rule, and we want to have a, call this, a population there. The GM, the world builder, can always dial back or increase anytime. This is just for the system to just generate its own purpose. If you want factors or it doesn't make sense, we can always override it. So what happens is, so this thing rolled a very high world size, so it's 10. So it kinda is a large world because the technology level is 13, which is a lower Cepheus engine version of it. I expanded the tech level because it's meant for um, which will be shown later on, that it's meant for lower tech worlds before Cepheus engine tech level 10 or 9, wherein you don't have gravity manipulation. You have like all this other technology that happens before you can hand wave all these things. Um, Call this. So yeah, you have a 300 million habitat uh, world, and let's call this habitat. So I had to create like, okay, population is in uh, habitat orbiting world, and then this is if statement. If the habitability is very high, then it's so what happens is, if you can see this, there's if you can see this, yeah, so this is the calculation for the population. So automatic, this is getting the die roll times the habitability modifier. So this is supposed to um, so it's 10 to the power of the habitability modifier divided by 7, and of course you times the dice it. So there's a chance that you roll a 7, which is the most common roll, most common roll, 10% chance of the roll, that your population is equal to the habitability score, or it can be more, it can be less. At the lowest, it's 1/8. Sorry, not 1/8. 1/12 of the population, or yeah, or more. So it's 7. So it could be like more than 50% the population. So there. I think I can close this. So yeah, what I did, as I mentioned before, I can delete this, and I can hide this, hide the tables again. So the tables are there for you to use or modify. Uh, so there. Um, So change log. Okay, so I had to change the call this. I had to change the following. Uh, Sorry. I have to use Alt. Uh, Call this tech level affects population. I had to calibrate. So basically, I use Earth population. So 10 to the ninth power. So from there, from the 10th to the ninth power, I work back to get the factors, the size of the planet, the resources um, needed, the atmosphere, all these things, and how it affects population. So now I put tech level, and I remember my if I remember my history is like uh, world population being at 9 billion, and medieval period is just hundreds of millions. So that's just two steps or two levels that really just affected up to this present day. So it's not that big a deal. Of course, once you have all this technology, that changes. So tech level affects population. So I made it that the size of the planet has a size of the planet. Sorry, resources have a uh, different base modifier. So before it used to be like a positive, now it's a negative modifier. Anyway, a less habitable world is expected to be, you need a lot of technology. So like, one thing is you have Mars, but if you had Mars with more hazards in it, more radiation, more hazards than if you were just to orbit Mars, then that would be a problem. Uh, and yeah, Mars has atmosphere, and atmosphere is call this is a hazard. It can destroy your facilities and all these other things. So you have to consider that as a factor. Uh, Resources have different base modifiers. So tech level, and um, if the planet, if the world is uninhabitable, but the world builder wants inhabitants, then we just use the rules and apply it to habitat. So we assume that it's a habitat orbiting that world instead of orbiting particular, or it's a circumstellar habitat. It orbits the star, not a world. So that's one of the factors. So it's considered done. Yeah. Okay, so let's fix this up. Let's just do some basics. So let's use conditional format. Okay, what? Okay, format. Conditional formatting. So I use this a lot. In project management, we use this to um, um, G2 equals done. So G2 equals done. Huh. No. Oh, sorry, not done. It has to be equals done. Yeah. So G2 equals done. Then we just gray it out. No, let's make it a lighter gray. Okay, just gray it out, and the text is grayed out. So yeah, this mistake. Yeah, I just had to check the formula. It was a mistype. It was supposed to be -1. Supposed to be formatting equals -1. Sorry, 1 and not -1. Okay, so yeah, so I have another one. I have to expand the column. So the next thing I have to do is, now that I added this, I have to expand this so that it's going to be more planets and more worlds. So right now it's up to 5, and I'm gonna have to add a lot of columns to add like all these worlds, and it's almost at infinitum. So I'll just add like 5 at a time. The problem that happens is, I should put on the positions need to be fixed. Positions need to be fixed. I think there was a confusion in the formula. Um, um, the zones are supposed to be all the same position in the zone, though that is tricky. Okay, anyway, okay, yeah, so I'm supposed to add, and they're not, it wasn't using this thing is not F4, so it's not dollar sign. So if I copy and paste these things, it's gonna start having problems. Of course, I have to format it with a thick, with a small and thin. Uh, let's see if I can. So anyway, I just have to do it for one. And notice, you'll notice is this uses rand between instead of a dice roll. Later on, I'll try to make it the dice roll. Anyway, if once there's enough people, I guess I can afford to hire someone to really polish this up again. Although my OJTs who helped me make this and I paid their services to make this. They probably have a job, and I'll have to train a new one. I don't mind training a new one. Uh, it's really that I want. Uh, okay, so in the Philippines, I could probably get 100 pesos or $2 to $4 to $5 per hour for this. But that includes me spending 20 hours to train that person, which I don't. I mean, being this is being part time. I don't really have those 20 hours, but um, and I hope to do that when I get IT OJTs and they did internship in our company and they're freelancing, and I can get them for that at roughly that rate. Uh, but call this it would be much easier if I can just afford to pay for someone who's skilled. But it's also nice if I can just, I have enough sales that I can keep have a dedicated person. So if I were to have a dedicated person for this, um it would be possible to get maybe two $200 per month part time, or probably, but it's better if I can get it at $400 um, per month part time. But again, at $400, how much sales I have to generate for that. So most likely I will just be spending probably more than the sales to fix this and polish this up over the course of the year. Yeah, my return on investment is 2,000 copies right now. But yeah, it'll just no. Call this. I do it more that if I were to have any other vice, it would have just been money that would have not done anything. I mean, I enjoyed it, but like I feel more fulfilled doing this. Okay, so let's say I fix this. Oh shoot, I didn't. Okay, my keyboard is a Logitech Bluetooth keyboard, so there's something funny happening with my. Oh, so there's already the dollar signs. I can't see it. Okay, so I have to dollar sign these. Uh, okay, that's okay. That's okay. So there's hidden. So I have to look for the hidden. Okay. Oh. Oh, what's this? Text join what? Text join this. And this? What's it do? Text join. Oh, one. Uh, one. Okay, and then okay, I have to check if this has any hidden. Uh, yeah. Oh. One more. Oh, yeah, that's the thing. That's it for. It's how many more? Uh. Okay, let's just add six. Yeah, that's. How do I preserve this? Okay, that's. Okay, I can't just have to figure out how I'm gonna preserve this. I don't really know how that works. Again, I'm not some. Like if you know, if you I don't know if you observed, like I did not get into planets naturally. I just was really curious. I just have a regular intelligence. This is like stuff that I have to really remember how to do again. Everything I do here is I remember to doing it. I work in project management for construction and IT, and it's more social skills, and it's more social skills and interpersonal skills than it is actually math and well, there you need a grasp of science, but it's more than the math and this and logic. This kind of logic, I need to like sit down and think how is this gonna work. Okay. So yeah. Anyway, main objective is done. Worlds that are both. So, okay. To test it, let's change this. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Continue. Yeah. Advance. Uh. Yeah. Okay. That was confusing. Allow. Why is it saying I don't have permission? Didn't, oh, it's set in my work account. Oh, because I'm using my personal. Okay, so that's it. I'll roll dice again. And 6. It's a dwarf world. Okay. Oh yeah, that's hmm. Yep. Still greater population if it was a habitat. 16 million. Hmm. It's still a dwarf world. The main world is still a dwarf world. Well, cause these worlds are these stars are more common. So yeah. Why such a huge uh, document viewer? Why such a huge why millions of megatons for it? Uh, because it needs to be self-sufficient. So if you wonder why is it that I put a million volume, so again, 10,000 people can be self-sufficient. So I was thinking of like, what is the minimum population that would be self-sufficient? Let's say if they were like 1960s, 1970s technology. Let's say like so much infra has broken down, so much technology has broken down that what you call it, so much technology is broken down, but it's relatively stable. So much technology is broken down and tech level has gone down, but it's yet stable. Uh, so with technology, they can self-sufficiently manufacture. So that's the population I put. So it's millions of volume tons. Of course, if you look at it, like there's a particular tech level range in this, and of course you can always like modify the tech level. It's the the intent. My initial intent when I made it procedural, so that as a GM, as the world builder, you're not so invested that if your players decide not to pursue this or not to do anything, you're not so invested, and thus you kind of force the game. These details are there so that you're free to not use it or use it. Okay, I guess I ran long. Sorry for the long explanation. Um, Feel free to contact us. It's Justin Aquino at gameinthebrain.com. It's also Justin Aquino at Gmail. And of course my work, but my there's also my work account. And if you like our products, hope you can share it with others or like give us feedback. We want to make this product better. Me and Nico are invested in making this, polishing this up, making this a thing where you have a book, you have software tools. I'm in the Philippines. I'm in a position to possibly get developers, developers we trained, and try to give this like at a good value, and if other companies like what we did, other publishers like what we did, where we try to bundle software with the books to make it that it's easier to start playing. Um, Maybe the people that we trained will find work in the others, in other publishers, and your favorite RPG will always come with an affordable or free or packaged software to play with it. So that's like the goal of Game in the Brain. It's a win-win. Call this, everyone gets a better product, it's more affordable, and everyone can afford it, and it's open source, and people can use it as a way to learn, and yeah, it's a win-win. Okay, thank you and goodbye.